A developing story, and this is a strange one. The body of a missing Canadian tourist has been found in this water tank.
The woman inside the tank, 21-year-old Elisa Lam.
Elisa Lam was more than just a missing person case. She was a young woman with dreams, struggles, and a deep desire to explore the world. To understand how she ended up at the center of one of the most perplexing mysteries of the decade, we must first look at who she was before her fateful trip. Born on April 30th, 1991, Elisa was a student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. She was known to be intelligent, introspective, and creative. However, behind her bright personality, she struggled with mental health issues that she often expressed on her Tumblr blog, Nouvelle Nouveau. This online space became her personal diary, where she documented her thoughts, emotions, and struggles with bipolar disorder and depression. Her posts ranged from book recommendations and fashion inspirations to deeply personal reflections on her mental state. Through her words, it was clear that she was searching for meaning, connection, and an escape from the weight of her emotions. Her relationship with her family was loving but protective. As first-generation immigrants from Hong Kong, her parents had worked hard to build a stable life in Canada, and they were deeply concerned about Elisa's well-being. They were hesitant to let her travel alone, fearing that she might struggle with managing her mental health away from home. Despite their concerns, Elisa longed for independence and adventure. She was drawn to the idea of exploring new places, meeting new people, and breaking free from the routine of her daily life. Travel, she believed, would be a way to refresh her mind and gain a new perspective on the world. Though she battled bipolar disorder, Elisa tried to cope with it through writing, reading, and self-expression. She often used her blog as a way to vent her frustrations and document her fluctuating emotions. Some days, she seemed full of hope and excitement. Other days, she expressed feelings of loneliness and despair. Despite these struggles, she was determined to experience life beyond her comfort zone. Eventually, Elisa convinced her parents to let her take a solo trip to California. She assured them that she would check in with them daily and keep them updated on her whereabouts. With that promise, she packed her bags and set off on what was supposed to be an exciting adventure. This was the beginning of her journey, a journey that, unknown to her or anyone else, would soon take a dark and tragic turn. Elisa Lam's excitement about her solo trip to California was evident in her Tumblr posts. She had finally convinced her protective parents to let her travel alone, but they had set one important condition. She had to check in with them every day. Her parents, worried about her well-being, insisted that she call them daily to reassure them that she was safe. Elisa, eager to embark on her adventure, agreed without hesitation. On January 22, 2013, Elisa boarded an Amtrak train from Vancouver, beginning the journey she had been dreaming of. Her first stop was San Diego. She spent a few days exploring the city, visiting the San Diego Zoo, and sharing her experiences online. Her posts reflected her excitement and wonder at seeing new places, but beneath the surface, there were hints of loneliness. Traveling alone was liberating, yet at times, she expressed feeling disconnected. After her brief stay in San Diego, she headed to Los Angeles, the city where everything would change. On January 26th, she arrived in downtown LA and checked into the Cecil Hotel, a place she had likely chosen for its affordability rather than its history. The Cecil Hotel was originally built in the 1920s as a luxurious destination for business travelers and wealthy tourists. However, the Great Depression in the 1930s devastated the area, and the hotel's status quickly declined. As the years passed, the Cecil became a low-budget hotel, attracting long-term residents and transient guests. Its dark history only deepened as it became infamous for crime, suicides, and even connections to serial killers like Richard Ramirez and Jack Unterweger. Guests had reported eerie occurrences over the years: strange noises, unexplained shadows, and an overall unsettling atmosphere. Whether Elisa knew of its dark past or not remains uncertain, but it was here that the final chapter of her journey would unfold. Initially, Elisa was placed in a shared room with other travelers in the hostel-style accommodation. However, within days, complaints began to surface. Other guests reported that she was exhibiting odd behavior, leaving strange notes, talking to herself, and making people uncomfortable. As a result, the hotel moved her to a private room, isolating her from the other guests. What exactly caused her behavior is unknown, but it marked a turning point in her trip. During her time in Los Angeles, Elisa continued to explore the city. One of her last known stops was the Last Bookstore, an iconic spot for book lovers. Employees later recalled seeing her browsing the shelves, seemingly in good spirits. Surveillance footage captured her inside, making small talk with the staff before leaving. This would be the last confirmed sighting of her outside the hotel. Her online activity also took a strange turn. Elisa continued posting on Tumblr, but her updates became increasingly cryptic. Some posts hinted at paranoia, while others were more abstract, almost poetic in nature. She mentioned feeling uneasy but didn't elaborate. To her followers, it was unclear whether this was part of her usual introspective writing or if something was truly troubling her. Meanwhile, back in Vancouver, her parents were keeping close track of her. They expected Elisa's daily phone calls, and she had been diligent about checking in, until she suddenly stopped. January 31st, 2013, was the day everything changed. Elisa Lam, who had been diligently checking in with her parents every day, suddenly went silent. No phone call, no Tumblr update, nothing. At first, her parents tried to stay calm, thinking she might have lost track of time while exploring Los Angeles. But as the hours passed and night fell, their worry turned into panic. Something was wrong. Unable to reach their daughter, Elisa's parents contacted the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, reporting her missing. Given that she was a young woman traveling alone in an unfamiliar city, the police took the case seriously. Officers arrived at the Cecil Hotel to begin their investigation, speaking with staff and guests in hopes of finding any clue about her whereabouts. The Cecil Hotel was massive, with 700 rooms spread across multiple floors. Searching the entire building was no easy task, but police meticulously went through each room, questioning guests and examining any areas where Elisa might have been. However, nothing seemed out of place. No signs of a struggle, no belongings left behind in odd locations. It was as if she had simply disappeared without a trace. With no immediate leads, the investigators turned to the hotel's security cameras. They combed through hours of footage, hoping to track Elisa's last known movements. That's when they found something chilling, something that would baffle the internet and fuel endless theories for years to come. The footage they uncovered showed Elisa inside one of the hotel's elevators, behaving in an extremely bizarre manner. In the video, she enters the elevator and presses multiple buttons before hesitating at the doorway, peeking out cautiously as if checking for someone. At one point, she steps outside and appears to be hiding. Then, she re-enters and starts making unusual hand movements, gesturing at something unseen. Her erratic behavior, the way she moved, the paranoia she seemed to exhibit, it all raised more questions than answers. Police found the footage, and here is the complete footage. The moment the LAPD released this video to the public, it went viral. Social media and online forums exploded with theories. Some people believed Elisa was experiencing a severe mental health crisis, possibly a manic episode caused by her bipolar disorder. Others speculated she was under the influence of drugs or hallucinogens, though toxicology reports would later challenge this theory. Then there were those who suggested something more sinister. Was she being followed? Was someone watching her just outside the camera's view? Others believed the Cecil Hotel's dark past had caught up with her, leading to speculation of paranormal involvement. Some even compared the footage to scenes from horror movies, noting the eerie way she moved and the unsettling silence of the empty hallway. However, the release of the footage also sparked controversy. Some internet sleuths claimed that the video had been tampered with. They pointed out that certain timestamps appeared to be missing or edited, suggesting that a few crucial seconds had been removed. Others noticed that the footage seemed unnaturally slowed down, possibly to obscure the movements of another person in the frame. The biggest question was, if the police had edited the footage, what were they trying to hide? Had someone else been in the hallway with Elisa that night? Despite the overwhelming attention the case was getting, investigators were still left with the same troubling reality. Elisa Lam was missing, and no one knew where she had gone. As days passed without any breakthrough, the case only grew more mysterious, deepening the unsettling aura that surrounded the Cecil Hotel. Rumors and speculation only added to the growing fear, leaving the world desperate for answers that remained just out of reach. As days passed with no sign of Elisa Lam, the mystery surrounding her disappearance only deepened. The LAPD continued their investigation, searching nearby areas, interviewing staff, and combing through more security footage. But despite their efforts, there were no substantial leads. Elisa seemed to have vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, life at the Cecil Hotel carried on. Guests continued to check in and out, unaware of the grim secret hidden within the building. However, a disturbing problem soon arose. Several guests began complaining about the hotel's water supply. They reported that the water pressure was unusually low, and when it did come out of the tap, it had a strange, dark tint. Some even noted that it had a foul, unpleasant taste. Initially, the hotel staff dismissed these complaints as routine maintenance issues. But as more guests voiced their concerns, they decided to investigate the building's plumbing system. On the morning of February 19, 2013, a maintenance worker was sent to the hotel's rooftop to inspect the water tanks. What he discovered would shock the world. Inside one of the 4 large water tanks that supplied the hotel, he found the decomposing body of Elisa Lam. Floating in the murky water, her body had been there for over 2 weeks. Authorities were immediately called to the scene, and within hours, the rooftop was swarming with police officers, forensic specialists, and firefighters working to recover the body. The discovery The discovery raised more questions than it answered. How did Elisa end up inside the tank? The tanks were large and heavy, positioned on a raised platform. There was no easy way to climb into them, and the hotel's rooftop was restricted to authorized personnel only. The access doors were locked, and an alarm was supposed to trigger if anyone tried to enter without permission. Furthermore, when Elisa's body was discovered, The lid of the water tank was reportedly closed. If she had climbed in herself, how could she have shut the lid from the inside? The autopsy report, released weeks later, only added to the confusion. There were no traces of drugs or alcohol in her system, ruling out intoxication as a possible cause of her erratic behavior seen in the elevator footage. The official cause of death was determined to be accidental drowning, but many people found this hard to accept. Theories ran rampant. Some believed she had suffered a severe manic episode due to her bipolar disorder, leading her to unknowingly put herself in danger. Others argued that foul play was involved. Could someone have forced her into the tank and closed the lid? Conspiracy theories even suggested supernatural forces at play, citing the Cecil Hotel's dark history of deaths and tragedies. Even after Elisa Lam's body was discovered and her death was ruled an accidental drowning, the case remained shrouded in mystery. The circumstances of her disappearance, the eerie elevator footage, and the strange details surrounding her death led to a whirlwind of speculation. People across the world debated what could have happened to Elisa. Was it a tragic accident, or was something more sinister at play? Several theories emerged, each offering a different explanation, but none providing definitive closure. One of the most persistent theories was that Elisa Lam was murdered. But if that was the case, who was responsible? Some pointed fingers at the hotel staff, suggesting that someone working at the Cecil Hotel had access to restricted areas, such as the rooftop and the water tanks. Since the entrance to the rooftop was locked and alarmed, how did Elisa get up there without triggering any security alerts? Could a hotel employee have helped her up there, or worse, forced her? Another theory focused on the possibility of a stalker. Elisa was an active Tumblr user, often posting about her life, thoughts, and even her travel plans. Was it possible that someone had been following her posts, tracking her movements, and lying in wait for the right moment to strike? The unsettling idea of a stranger lurking in the shadows of the Cecil Hotel, watching her every move, added another layer of fear to the mystery. Elisa Lam had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. Although she managed her condition with prescribed medication, could she have suffered a psychotic break? The elevator footage seemed to suggest she was experiencing paranoia, pressing multiple buttons, peeking outside, and making strange hand movements. Was she hallucinating? Did she believe someone was following her when no one was actually there? Toxicology reports showed no signs of drugs or alcohol in her system, but her prescription medication levels were lower than expected. This raised the possibility that she may not have been taking her medication properly, potentially triggering an episode. If she was in a state of psychosis, it could explain how she ended up on the roof, though the logistics of getting inside the water tank remained unclear. The Cecil Hotel had a notorious history linked to suicides, murders, and even infamous serial killers such as Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and Jack Unterweger. Many believed the hotel was cursed or haunted, and some speculated that Elisa had fallen victim to supernatural forces. Some people theorized that Elisa might have been possessed or influenced by a malevolent spirit residing in the hotel. Ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts pointed to the eerie elevator footage as evidence. Her strange behavior, the way she seemed to be communicating with something unseen, and the way the elevator doors refused to close as if being held open by an invisible force. Was it possible that the spirits of the Cecil Hotel had drawn her to the rooftop? Could they have led her to the water tank, sealing her fate in a way that defied logic? While paranormal theories were purely speculative, they only added to the chilling aura surrounding the case. One of the most bizarre theories suggested that Elisa Lam had been playing the elevator game, an urban legend originating from South Korea. The game is said to transport a person to another dimension if played correctly. It involves entering an elevator in a building with at least 10 floors and pressing a specific sequence of buttons. At some point during the game, a mysterious woman is said to enter the elevator, but players are warned never to speak to her. Some internet sleuths believe that Elisa's actions in the elevator footage resembled the steps of the game. She pressed multiple buttons, seemed to be interacting with something unseen, and acted as if she was trying to evade someone or something. If she had been attempting the elevator game, had she unknowingly transported herself to another reality? Had she encountered something beyond human comprehension? Or had the ritual gone terribly wrong, leading to her untimely death? Despite all the theories, Elisa Lam's death still leaves many unanswered questions. How did she manage to get onto the locked rooftop without triggering alarms? How did she open the heavy water tank lid by herself? And why did the hotel's water supply remain undisturbed for nearly 3 weeks before guests started complaining? Perhaps the greatest mystery is the elevator footage itself. Some skeptics believe that the video was tampered with, edited, or slowed down to hide crucial details. The timestamps were missing, and there were odd jump cuts, leading some to suspect that key moments had been removed. If the footage was altered, what was the LAPD trying to hide? To this day, the case of Elisa Lam remains one of the most perplexing modern mysteries. Was it a tragic accident, a mental health crisis, a calculated murder, or something beyond human understanding? The truth may never be known, but Elisa's story continues to haunt those who seek answers. Years have passed since the tragic and mysterious death of Elisa Lam, yet her story continues to haunt the internet, investigators, and conspiracy theorists alike. The case remains one of the most famous internet mysteries, sparking endless debates, theories, and documentaries that attempt to unravel what really happened at the Cecil Hotel. Despite the official ruling of accidental drowning, many believe there are still unanswered questions that cast doubt on the true nature of Elisa's death. Elisa's story gained notoriety not only because of the strange circumstances surrounding her disappearance, but also due to the unsettling elevator footage that remains one of the most viewed and analyzed pieces of internet history. The video, with its eerie silence and inexplicable movements, became a symbol of the unresolved nature of her case, allowing speculation to thrive. To this day, forums, YouTube videos, and social media discussions continue to dissect her behavior in the footage, searching for clues that might offer a definitive answer. For Elisa's family, closure has been elusive. They never fully accepted the ruling that their daughter's death was a simple accident. The very circumstances of how she ended up in the water tank, seemingly without any logical way of getting there on her own, left them and many others with lingering doubts. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the hotel, arguing that it had failed to ensure the safety of its guests. However, the case was eventually dismissed, leaving them without the justice or clarity they had hoped for. The public's fascination with the case led to multiple documentaries, books, and TV series that delved into the details of her disappearance and death. One of the most notable was Netflix's documentary Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. This series reignited global interest in the case, offering interviews with investigators, hotel staff, and internet sleuths who had dedicated years to trying to understand what had happened to Elisa. The documentary explored the history of the Cecil Hotel, its grim reputation, and the dark events that had unfolded within its walls, further cementing its place as one of the most infamous locations in true crime history. Beyond the speculation and intrigue, Elisa Lam's case also raised awareness about mental health. Her struggles with bipolar disorder were a crucial aspect of her story, and many discussions emerged about the stigma surrounding mental illness, the challenges of traveling alone while dealing with mental health conditions, and the importance of support systems. Some saw Elisa's story as a tragic reminder of how vulnerable individuals can be in unfamiliar environments, while others used it to push for better awareness and understanding of psychiatric disorders. The Cecil Hotel itself became a macabre tourist attraction, drawing visitors curious about its dark past. Some hoped to experience paranormal activity, while others simply wanted to stand in the place where one of the internet's biggest mysteries unfolded. Despite attempts to rebrand and distance itself from its notorious history, the hotel remains inextricably linked to Elisa Lam's case. Ultimately, the mystery of Elisa Lam endures because it exists at the intersection of true crime, internet culture, and the unexplained. Whether her death was a tragic accident, the result of foul play, or something beyond human understanding, one thing remains certain: Elisa's story will continue to captivate and unsettle people for years to come.